In the vast landscape of ancient mythology, there is a moment of startling honesty that cuts deeper than almost any philosophical argument. It comes from a strange and often overlooked figure, Silenus. Silenus is usually portrayed as an old satyr, half man, half beast, drunk, wandering and laughing among the followers of Dionysus. He seems like comic relief in the wild celebrations of the god of wine. But beneath the drunken laughter, ancient writers believed Silenus possessed a terrifying kind of wisdom. And when he finally spoke about the true nature of human life, his answer shocked everyone. The story was preserved by the Greek historian Plutarch and later discussed by the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. It begins with a king who wanted to know the ultimate truth about existence. That king was King Midas. According to the myth, Midas managed to capture Silenus after the old satyr wandered away from the followers of Dionysus. The king treated him well but demanded something in return: the deepest knowledge about human life. For days, Silenus refused to answer. But Midas persisted. Finally, Silenus burst into bitter laughter and revealed what he believed was the ultimate truth of existence. The best thing for humans is not to be born at all. The second best is to die as soon as possible. At first, this statement sounds shocking, almost disturbing. It seems to reject the value of life itself. But when we look closer, the wisdom of Silenus reveals something profoundly philosophical, and it resonates strongly with a modern idea known as antinatalism. Antinatalism is the philosophical view that bringing new people into existence is morally problematic because life inevitably contains suffering. In other words, if existence guarantees pain, loss, illness, and death, then creating new life means exposing someone to those harms without their consent. This is exactly the insight that Silenus appears to express thousands of years ago. His statement does not come from hatred of humanity. Instead, it comes from a sober recognition of what life actually contains. Every human being who is born will experience suffering, illness, grief, fear, loss. Even in the best possible life, suffering cannot be avoided. We lose people we love. Our bodies weaken, our dreams fail, and eventually every life ends in death. From this perspective, Silenus argues that the greatest fortune would be never entering this cycle at all. In modern philosophy, this idea was developed most famously by David Benatar, author of the book Better Never to Have Been. Benatar argues that coming into existence is always a harm, even if a person eventually experiences happiness. His reasoning is based on a simple asymmetry. The absence of pain is good, even if there is nobody to experience that good. But the absence of pleasure is not bad unless someone exists who is deprived of it. This means that a person who is never born avoids all suffering without being deprived of anything. In contrast, a person who is born will inevitably experience some level of pain, frustration, and harm. From this perspective, the wisdom of Silenus becomes clearer. He is not merely expressing despair. He is making a philosophical observation. Existence guarantees suffering, while non-existence guarantees the absence of suffering. Ancient Greek culture was deeply aware of this tragic dimension of life. Their myths are full of suffering heroes and doomed destinies. Consider Oedipus, who unknowingly fulfills a terrible prophecy and destroys his own life. Or Achilles, who achieves eternal glory but dies young. Even the greatest figures cannot escape suffering. The Greeks understood something that modern culture often tries to ignore. Life is not purely a gift, it is also a burden. This is why the statement of Silenus was remembered for centuries. It captured the tragic awareness at the heart of human existence. Interestingly, Friedrich Nietzsche discussed this myth in his book, The Birth of Tragedy. Nietzsche argued that the Greeks knew how terrible existence could be. They were fully aware of the pessimistic truth expressed by Silenus. But rather than hiding from that truth, they faced it through art and tragedy. Greek tragedy allowed people to look directly at suffering without pretending that life was simple or fair. In modern times, however, many societies avoid confronting this reality. We are surrounded by messages that insist life is always a blessing, that existence is inherently good. and that creating new life is automatically something to celebrate. But antinatalism challenges this assumption. It asks a difficult question. If we know that every new life will include suffering, is it ethical to impose that experience on someone who cannot consent? When parents bring a child into the world, they are making a decision on behalf of someone who does not yet exist. They are deciding that the risks of suffering are worth taking. But the child never agreed to those risks. This is the moral tension that antinatalist philosophers explore. And in many ways, the wisdom of Silenus expresses the earliest version of this idea. Silenus suggests that existence itself is a tragic condition. Once someone is born, they become trapped in the cycle of struggle and loss. But before birth, none of those harms exist. No pain, no fear, no grief, no death. From the perspective of antinatalism, choosing not to create new life can be seen as an act of compassion. It prevents future suffering before it begins. This does not mean that existing lives have no value or meaning. People who are already alive can still seek happiness, love, creativity, and understanding. But antinatalism asks whether it is morally justified to create new lives that will inevitably face suffering. The myth of Silenus does not give us a comfortable answer. Instead, it forces us to confront a profound truth that many prefer not to think about. Existence is not purely good. It is a mixture of beauty and tragedy, joy and pain, love and loss. Silenus strips away the comforting illusions and reveals the darker side of life. And yet, the fact that this idea appears in ancient mythology is remarkable. Thousands of years before modern philosophy, someone imagined a figure who dared to say what many people quietly suspect but rarely express, that the greatest fortune might be never entering the struggle of life at all. Whether one agrees with antinatalism or not, the wisdom of Silenus raises one of the deepest ethical questions humanity has ever faced. Is bringing someone into existence truly a gift? Or is it a risk we impose on others? For centuries, this question has echoed through philosophy, literature, and myth. And it all began with the laughter of an old satyr who finally revealed what he believed was the most honest truth about human life.